Good afternoon and welcome to Kunsan Payo Choling. We're happy to have you here for a teaching by Jetsunma Ahkon Lhamo. This teaching was given in 2007. The title is This Time is Radical. And so we'll begin.
So I wanted to give a brief teaching, and I'm very glad that Tara made that beautiful offering because it kind of set me up for it. I'm very good at, I should say, seeing patterns. And when I see patterns repeat themselves, then and they end up, and they come to no good, then I wonder what's going on. And when I see patterns externally repeat themselves and display themselves, then I think, oh, this is the dance of phenomena, and there's something to be looked at here. And when I look at this display of phenomena, it seems to me that if we read the paper, listen to news, if we have our antenna up at all, and if we are managing not to remain so self-absorbed that we're not aware of the outside world, we may have come to understand that the world is changing very rapidly, very quickly, and that many things that groups and people that cared about social justice and about the environment and about things that us tree-hugging liberals, or some of us are tree-hugging liberals, care about. These warnings have come full circle and have come to be true. And I find us now in a country where our liberty has been pretty smacked around, and our potency as a society is being like a castle built on sand. The sand is rushing away from under us. It's as though whatever foundation kept the people together, even in just a materialistic and commercial way, is dissipating. I see good work for good, honest people going overseas. I see Americans left with labor. And I see people cross, the border to try and make their families wealthy or make their families eat. And there's so much hatred that we can't understand why it is that people would want to do that. Of course, to me, it's very understandable why a person would wish to feed their family. And I also think that long before lines were drawn, I should say, the people were still there. And they moved back and forth any way they wanted to. And so when we draw lines, we have to have a little bit, I think, of respect for what is natural, what has always been, and what is true. Even on a less important level, the way that we insist upon thinking these days, even animals can't cross into their own habitats. And many of their habitats are being destroyed just for the sake of boxing ourselves in. And then after we do that, then we send all of our jobs overseas. That's just America. Check out the rest of the world. As things go, it's not too bad here yet. And why am I talking about this ordinary stuff from the throne on 10 Million Day? And it's to make a point. I wish I could yell it loud enough so that you would really hear me with your whole heart and whole mind and whole being when I tell you this time is radical. This is a time of extraordinary change. And I think if you think change is happening now, wait till you see what the next 10 years brings. Remarkable change. Will the change be for the better? When I look at the causes, I have to say no. You know, I would like to believe that something will just come to us from the sky and wipe it all away, but you know, I really don't think so. I think we've done damage to the planet, we've done damage to the people, and this country is not what it was even, although I love it with my heart's essence. I am not as proud to be an American as I once was. We started a war that we just wanted to, and the American people went along with it, and lots of things have changed since then. So much has changed since then. I feel that there is, when I embrace the world in my heart, and I'm just telling you this from my own practice, hatred has been multiplied by some gazillion amount that I don't even know the number. I don't know how to call that number. But there's so much hatred in the world. And in places where people had learned to get along because they had a long history together, hatred has increased beyond all measure. Brutality has increased. And while on the one hand, half of our human species, which are women, on the one hand we're coming out, and on the other hand we're being killed. You know, like for instance in Darfur and in Africa, places where women are raped and tortured and being used as being used as sex objects and so forth. And I feel that this time of Kali Yuga is thickening. And it's come to pass that in each of our lives it matters very much. Because I'll tell you right now, right at this time, this blue moon, this second moon, it's an amazing, important time, collectively and individually. You can look at it from an astrological point of view, you can look at it from a tallying up point of view in terms of merit or non-virtue that has been accumulated. You can look at it from an intuitive point of view and really see how the world is, and you can get it for yourself. Individually, it's the same thing. For each of us, we are all at a turning point. How can that be so? You must be asking yourself, how can it be so that everyone in this room is literally at some sort of turning point? Because it's true. That's how I can say it. I've got some stars and planets to back me up. But beyond that, experienced and perhaps a dash of wisdom. I see the change, and I see what's happening with people. Even those who have been on the path for a long time, as well as those who are just starting. It's become very dramatic suddenly. The problem is you're either in or you're out. It's kind of like that. I find that while Dharma can bring great result now, it's more difficult to follow. And if you are not actively pursuing and in love with, I don't mean that in a romantic sense, you understand, but in a passion sense, in an appropriately blissful and joyful sense. If you're not after your practice like that, then your practice is falling away. I can guarantee it. Because right now is one of those times where if you're not walking ahead, if you're not moving ahead, you're going backwards. You cannot afford to tread water now. There was a time you could, maybe for a little while. But I really feel like karma has come to ripen individually, as a group, and as a nation, and as a world, to the point where it's serious, and we are going to reap the rewards of what we have sown. For those of you who have been diligently following your practice, and of course there's the dry periods and the wet periods and the, the juicy periods and the whatever, but practice is practice. And one thing I've learned about the path is that path is verb. You've got to walk it. You've got to live it. If you don't live it, you're just dressing up and you're walking backwards. My sense is now that for myself, I've been watching my own patterns, and here's where I'm going to share with you my great aha. I realized recently in my own practice that for the past few years, unbeknownst to myself, although maybe on some intuitive level I understood, yeah, I did, but not in my brain, not where it registers, Do you know what I'm talking about? I realized that I have been making myself stronger. And I have been gathering my courage. Things have happened to me in the last few years that, I wouldn't dare the infinite, but, when life changes come and experiences come that would have terrified my little jellyfish heart before, doesn't faze me at all now. Things that used to scare me half to death don't scare me at all now. And I realized that I've been gathering my courage, and I realized that when I started practicing more deeply, and that was about 1.5 years ago, I started, not that I didn't practice before that, but I started practicing more deeply, just going in, and going into my practice. Everything outward changed, quite naturally without any effort. Aha, there's an understanding. If your mind is right, and if you practice accordingly, and if you walk the path appropriately, you don't have to worry about the outside stuff so much. It tends to take care of itself. Not if you're going, the whole time. Of course, you've got to have the mind of Dharma. That's not the mind of Dharma. If you practice, say, 4 hours a day even, and then the rest of the time you're going, that's not the mind of Dharma. So if you're really into it, if you really are deep and honest and in touch with your practice, and it is a relationship in your life, more important than any other. It fills a category that nothing else can fill. And it prepares you for anything, which is good, because anything is just about to happen. I've been gathering myself to do my courage and myself to change in ways that I never thought I could have. And though I wouldn't want to do it over again, it's okay. It's always okay, because it's for the benefit of sentient beings. And in my mind, decisions have already been made. Whatever I can do to benefit sentient beings, I will do. I will do it. No matter what I think about it, or whether I like it, or whether I feel like it, I will do it. And that's what I've been preparing myself for, is that kind of certainty. I knew there was a time where I would have to look samsara in the eye and say, this is enough. And this is that time. I feel that for each and every one of us, this must be a time of courage. If we can't gather our courage together at this time, it will be very hard to gather it together later. In this, right now, at this time, we have a certain leisure to practice. Now, for those of you that have full-time jobs and are practicing on the go, you may say, I beg to differ. But let me tell you, the old proverb, it could always get worse. And if in some way we end up with obstacles that cause us to have to live differently or to scramble for existence the way much of the world has to do, well, then we'll find a way to practice then too. But now's the time to be strong. And this is the time when we can really commit to being an active Dharma presence in the world. The thing that I have come to understand is that this is no time for any of us to hang out in our comfort zone. And I am just about to leave mine, like Monday actually. Some of you know what I'm talking about. But I think in this time, we've got to give it all we've got. If you can give renunciation, if you can really do that, do it. This is it. Everything in samsara is falling apart, and it's time to be what you can be. I feel that we all should take a posture of like Dharma warriors. Not a warrior to harm anyone, but a warrior for the path. A warrior that cares for the path, that guards the path. This is when we generate the deity, when we generate the different Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, we realize that each of them have qualities and activities. And it's just as important to establish their activities in the world as it is for us individually to engage in their qualities. The activity aspect of the Buddha nature is not nothing, it is something. So we prefer to sit on our cushion and say, do, I'm doing my practice, and I look stunning doing it. You know, but really, we should also be active. Should be not only engaging in the extraordinary kindness of practice, but also the ordinary human kindness of everyday caring for those around us, caring for the world at large, caring for beings that are suffering, animals, people, whatever, anything that lives. Doing all that we can to actively end suffering. To engage in that kind of practice in this world today is very, very powerful practice. Why is it more practice now? Because it's needed. Because there is so much suffering. And this is your opportunity in this very lifetime, not only to enter onto the path of Dharma and practice, but to give rise to the great bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is not just a word. It is awakening. It is awakening to the nature that is the primordial wisdom Buddha nature. And that nature is not different from bodhicitta. They are the same light, the same essence. It cannot be separated. So any time that we practice bodhicitta and offer simple kindness and simple mindfulness to the people around us in order to be kind, this is a great work. I've been screaming about this for years, but now it's so much more important than ever because there is so little of this nectar of kindness in the world. Well, this very country used to have altruistic ideals, and now it's all run by companies. It's crazy. And so, while the darkness is coming to us thicker and thicker all the time, and the holy places in the world, I mean, you think about what's happening, for instance, in Nepal, in Kathmandu, stupas and our relics and important Buddhist monuments are being threatened. And so where will the Dharma be safe? I know where. Right here. Right there. That's where the Dharma is going to be safe. And for every stupa that anyone ever knocks down, I will build another one. That's the way I feel about that. And in this time of darkness, when more and more people hate, and more people that have karma to practice the path even leave the path because their delusion is so thick. In this time, we have to become like, almost like we get our shoulder against the darkness and push. Now, I know that's not very Zen, is it? But we're not practicing Zen here. We're practicing rough, tough Buddhism from Brooklyn. And what I'm telling you is that we do need to hold the darkness at bay. And each one of us has the capacity to help with that. Because when we practice and we generate the deity, there is the deity. And you should have confidence in that. When we practice and make offerings, there is great merit accumulated. Here in this place, we've set it up so that there's every opportunity to gather merit and to offer that merit to end the suffering of all sentient beings. It's set up so well here. We have stupas. We can offer paint to them, gold paint every year. We can offer circumambulations. I mean, nowhere else in America is there so much of this. So we have to get behind this, and we have to be impassioned. Now, we practice, and your mind is, you practice on, meditating on emptiness and non-duality. And we think, oh, we should come out of that feeling, oh, so peaceful. Like milk, And then after that, we should just be just so peaceful. And I think, well, right on, whatever. Mostly, I think, let's gather together and be of benefit. And I think that's the most important thing. At this time, there are people who will come in contact with Dharma from this time forward, who have the karma to practice but will not have the opportunity because the darkness is getting thicker. And for them, we will record mantra and we will send it out to the world. And if it can wake them up, it will wake them up and they will come. And if you don't know that His Holiness gave his blessing to this, and I'll tell you that he has. His Holiness is interested in this. He doesn't care what it sounds like. He's not a big rock and roll fan. Not into hip-hop. Wouldn't know 80s music, sub-dub. Just doesn't know. But His Holiness said, we've got to get it out, and we've got to get it out now. And so for me, in my practice and in my activity, and that includes the music, we have 2 streams going here. I'm going to go up to New York and record with John Ward on Monday. Then we have another stream, which is in the studio. We're going to do more and more and more and more until everyone hears, and they will come. And I find that there's no way to reach out to them because they have, through the thickness and the darkness and the delusion, become now too dense to hear. But my determination, our determination, is to call to them so loud and so clearly in their language, which is today's language, that they can't resist us. And they will come. And with every effort that we make, we will continue to practice and pray. And I believe because of that, they will come in droves. So I feel that I wanted to tell you that, not because I want to put out energy ahead of its time or to brag or anything like that. It's not like that, really. I'm not ambitious in that way. I'm only ambitious in one way, and that is get it out. Sound the call, so that while it's so dark they can't see, still, maybe they can hear. Now I want you to know that when people hear me doing this, they won't know that His Holiness wants me to do it. And they'll think, what is this? A tulku? A reincarnate Lama from a throne singing blues or hip-hop or whatever? But if you listen to it, there's mantra in it, and there's dharma in it, and it's real. And so I say to you that I have permission, first of all, and I have the heart for it, second of all. God, I have a voice for it. But I feel that this is a time of either despondency or empowerment. You're either getting left behind or you're climbing on board now. Things are going to get real exciting around here real fast. And so I want you to keep your heart practice and never be swayed by anything you see. No matter what you see. Even if someone says, well, why is a Dharma teacher making this music? Then you can repeat the teaching, all sounds are the Dharma. Learn it well, and speak it, because that's the truth. And the other thing that His Holiness said, he said the Dharma can't be broken. You can't break it. You can't break something that is not of this world. And so the meaning of that is that whatever context we can put the Dharma out to sentient beings is, so long as it is with good motivation and completely respectful, it will manage. It will do its job. And the way that Dharma works, as I've instructed you before, is that the very vibration, the very sound of Dharma, which is why you have to speak it out loud, the mantra rather, why you have to speak mantra out loud, very sound of it reverberates and corresponds with sounds in the winds, channels, and fluids within your deepest nature. And so if one hears mantra or sees some connection with the Dharma, even though they may be ordinary and kind of down in the dust and living a very secular, commercial, ordinary life, the power of Dharma is such, the power of mantra rather, is such that, boom, they can hear it and wake up an ancient resonance that comes to them, and they change quickly because of that. I see that happening. And I see that in this time, that's our best hope. It's our best hope. And I also think of Dharma as a wedding cake with 3 different levels. And everyone's welcome to partake of this cake. Only some people will get to go into 3-year retreat, way up the top, 3 years Dzogchen retreat, and then maybe on to 7-year retreat, and then maybe on to end of life retreat. Hopefully some of you will have that opportunity, and don't waste a minute if you do. If you have that opportunity, then that's where you are, and the cake is yours. And the other level are people who may never get to practice that deeply in retreat and may never get to, say, 3-year retreat or 7-year retreat or whatever. But they practice every day of their lives. They learn their poa and learn their generation practice, and they do a little Dzogchen practice, and they're hooked up because they will have an auspicious rebirth. They are making ready for their next life. And then at the lower level, it isn't lower in the sense of up and down. It's bigger. If you think of how wedding cakes are, that level is every human's level. every human can come and have a taste of mantra of Dharma. How do I make a cake big enough for everybody to have a bite? We're going to sing it. We'll just make it big and make it happen. I'm really looking forward to that. I have lots of hopes and dreams. Eventually, when we've accomplished certain things that we want to accomplish with our music, that is to get the mantra out into the world, then we want to hit the road. And hitting the road means bringing mantra, chanting, and drumming to all people. And so any of you that wish to join us on that, it's time for you to practice. And you shouldn't be thinking, well, I only want to practice this way and that, not that way. Well, you're not exactly thinking in Dharma terms, you're like that. You should have your mind open, relaxed, joyful, following in the footsteps of your teacher in the best way that you can. So I'm asking you for this time to keep your heart open, keep your eyes open, try to be mindful. Try to really see patterns around you. Try to notice Dharma and what it is to you and how you can help others. Don't do anything by rote now. Get back in. You know? Get back in the deep end again. Don't just say a little mantra and then walk around, you know, like you own the place. Don't do that. Get deeper in your practice, as deep as you can. And for those of you who are giving rise to the bodhicitta, and when I say these words, are inspired and say, sign me up, send me, I'll go, I'll sing some, I'll bring some drums, I'll do cartwheels. If that's going to teach Dharma, maybe if you, well, you could go in a certain direction and have it written on you. Yeah. We'll think of something else. I'm trying to be upbeat about this, but this is a time of great change. This year and next year are going to be stupendous in terms of the change that we experience as individuals and as a temple. Not frightening change, good change, but get your act together kind of change. Get ready to help beings. Get ready to minister. Those of you that are wearing robes, you're supposed to be ministering to others in the best way that you can, whatever that means. It really means open-hearted connection, good-heartedness, like the Dalai Lama wrote. If that's all we can do, that's great. Let's do that here. But we can do more than that because we have training. We have lots of training and we have method. And with method and a solid heart, we will hold back the dark for as long as possible. Some of you know about that we were born together at this time because something tremendous was going to unfold. And those of you that remember those teachings from long ago that I haven't spoken about in a long time, we're still on. The game is still rolling. And it's time to get your readers on and jump in. You people with the robes, you are my heart's love. You are my heart's love. If we lose one of you, it is unbearable. To have more of you come forward and say, take me, sign me up, is beautiful. And I look forward to the day when we can show the world what Buddhist compassion is all about. Any of you with me on that?
Yes.
All right. Sometimes I don't know because they just look at me. And then I get scared. So I will try to speak to people in the way that they understand and This is going to be a very intense time, a very beautiful time. I'm not afraid. I get a little freaked out every now and then, but I'm not afraid. And I can say that in my lowest possible voice. I'm not afraid. So let's go. It's time to practice hard. It's time to keep your vows. It's time to stay straight on the path. It's time to move through the door of liberation, and do not lose your focus now, because it's possible. It's possible. This is a very wiggly time as karma goes. Hold fast to what you know is true and live your truth. Walk it every day. And that truth is Dharma.
Thank you so much for joining today and watching this. It was quite a short teaching, but potent. For those of you who are familiar with the period of time when she was doing all of this mantra, there's quite a bit of mantra music out there now. And it went on for a period of time. As just about everything has with Jetsunma, it's she's into some things, and she produces stuff and takes advantage of that moment, and then there's another thing that comes up, and she's doing that too with the same intensity. Currently it is KPC Buddhist Relief, and it's all about feeding people so that they will have the sustenance they need to practice if they can, and if not, to just live, which is good too, because people can't do much if they're really hungry and if they're not able to support themselves and their families. So there's a lot of that going on, even in our county here, which is really quite wealthy overall, but whoa, they have really, we are so out of balance. It's really heartbreaking. So here we are, and here are these teachings, and I hope you're enjoying them. We do show them every Sunday at 1 p.m. And then we also show them Wednesdays at 7:30 on the 2nd and 5th Sundays of any given month. They're pre-recorded, so you can also watch them on YouTube later. The other Wednesdays are teachings by Khenpo Tenzin Karze, which are much more traditional and give you the real essence and basics of the Buddha's path as it was taught by the Buddha himself. So join them if you're interested. And we do need to have you register. We're trying to organize this, and those of you who know us, organization may not be our strongest suit. So here we are, and he teaches on the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays, and the 1st, 3rd, and 4th. The 4th Wednesday is usually a Q&A with some teaching at the very beginning. So, and they are, you can go on to tara.org. If you go to the, just open tara.org, scroll to the very bottom, and when you find the page that talks about Khenpo Tenzin Karze, you'll find a link to it. Go to that page and you'll find how to register. It's the quickest way to do it. We've got so much going on that it's hard to describe to people the various ways to go through and find it all. So that's the best. It's also the best way to find the practices that we do daily, and also on holidays and that sort of thing. And that is to scroll to the bottom of that first page on tara.org, especially if you're doing it on a phone. And you'll find something that says webcasts and calendar, and click on that. And just below the webcast is the calendar. You get to the calendar, click on the event, The event will give you what's happening. If there's a practice, it will give you a copy so you can follow along, and it will give you the codes to get into it. So that's your best shot. We also offer meditations, which are on YouTube and in person, as are the teachings by Khenpo Tenzin Karzai. Starting on August 10th, he'll be back in person. He's currently up at the New York retreat right now. So he is continuing to teach. I'm backing up to the Wednesday teachings. He is continuing to teach on Zoom, but not in person. And then he comes back after the 10th. So all good there. We also have Medicine Buddha, which is on Facebook. And it's a very short practice that Jetsunma condensed so that anybody could do it. And you can put in prayers for those who you know who need the help of Medicine Buddha, whether it's for sickness or death or just grief or anything else, so join in, and it's very potent. Short, but potent. Daily we offer a food offering, which is every day, either in person or on Zoom. Sunday, it's often across the street. I think it will be today. The temperature dropped a bit, enough that we can probably make it through the 2-hour practice. And if it's across the street, the internet is dicey. So it will either be on Facebook or on Zoom, depending on which one will pick up. So try them both. And or just come, because it's really potent over there. So that's our week here. We also have drumming, drum circles at 11:30 in the morning on Sunday. Again, at the statue across the street, which is just at the entrance to the park across the street, right on River Road. You can park on River Road and just come on up. And lots of things to do on the property: walking trails, meditation gardens. We have farm animals that are helping us with feeding the people of the area and expanding all of that. We've got a garden, and we've got chicken, lots of chickens, so lots of eggs, ducks, geese, pigs, goats. The goats are awesome. They're, in addition to making babies, they're helping to till the ground, so things are going pretty well. Anyway, come enjoy. It is a peaceful place. It is wonderful. There are so many places to meditate. Come in and fill yourself up. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and we hope to see you soon.